we're out here on the trails today with two very different off-roaders. We have an absolute fossil that we know and love, and we have the new and cutting edge. This is the 2024 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. What do you have?
I have a 2024 Land Rover Defender 110 with a V8 engine, the P500.
So that's more expensive than this one. That one has more tech, but we're not going to be talking about which one is nicer on the highway, which one is better value. Today we're talking all about which one of these are better off-road, on the trails.
We're not going to talk about my lovely leather and my sound system and the ventilated seats, none of that.
We can acknowledge it, but for the purposes of this off-road comparison, we're talking about the nitty-gritty and the muddy. What works best off-road? In fact, like this one has a lot of electric off-road assists.
It does. It has a weight sensing, air suspension, raises and lowers, all kinds of programs for off-road, mud, snow, ruts, you name it, sand. So I've got all kinds of technology here, and you have...
Nothing. It's a live rear axle, it's coil springs. It actually does have hill descent control, but this is a product from another time, and in fact, getting replaced later this year with the all-new 4Runner. So this is the last of the old breed.
Wow.
So today, really a look at two very different types of off-roading.
Right.
The past.
And this is sort of like the future of luxury off-roading. It's expensive, it has all kinds of tech, but let's see what happens. We take these two out there, and we're gonna bash them around and find out which is better.
May the best SUV win.
So Clayton, what type of proletariat conveyance is this?
First of all, a very dirty one. It looks like it's been through a swamp.
I can't even see at the window.
But we keep calling it the budget option, which I think is really funny considering this is a $70,000 vehicle.
Hard to believe.
This is fully loaded, but the 4Runner starts at $55,000, and neither of these are cheap vehicles. In fact, they stretch the limit of what I would call affordable, and yet this is still half the price of the Land Rover.
Indeed it is.
But I don't think it's just the budget option in the comparison. I think it's also the old school option, because not only is it at a lower price point, it's at a way lower tech point, for better or worse, as we'll discuss.
But I love the fact that you have all these very large knobs for controlling HVAC, audio, big buttons. It's just so dated. It's fantastically dated.
I love how it works. I love these big, fat buttons to control temperature.
No question about what you're going for.
You could do it in the dark with work gloves. You could do it with mittens. It's so easy. It's not sexy, but this interior is like so easy to use.
Yeah.
Anyone could use this in 1 second. There's a big volume knob, big tuning knob, big climate knob.
It's a time warp of how things used to be.
It is. It is. And maybe we've lost some things because there's no capacitive touch stuff here.
Not at all.
In fact, it's old school stuff. We got old school shifter.
Wow.
Big old Prindle.
Look at that. Manually
shifted transfer case right here.
Oh, you poor thing. I didn't have that on my Land Rover.
Button for our rear locking diffs.
Wow.
Let's hit the trails. Let's try our hill descent control, and it's a lot more low tech.
Is it?
You got this like hill coming up here. So I'm in drive. I set it to low. It's up here. I hit on, and now it's on, and I let off the brake.
But it's very user-friendly with that.
Do you hear? Can you hear it like a typewriter?
Yeah.
So we'll click it up 1 notch. Now we're doing 2-speed.
Wow.
And there it is. Not the sexiest and smoothest thing.
It works. It works.
It works just fine.
Yeah.
There it is. Take us down the hill, and I can slow us down. So now it's take us down to
excuse me. Must be what I had for breakfast.
I can feel it grabbing each brake.
Yeah, you don't feel that in the Land Rover.
No. So, and then I can move it up to medium speed. So there you have it.
Yep. But it works. And it
sure does.
It's very easy to control.
Yeah.
Much easier than the Defender, where you have to go into the menu to get the speed controls and all that stuff.
And I think that's kind of a metaphor for this whole truck. Like, it's not as like glitzy and fancy as the Land Rover, but it does the same stuff. And frankly, as an off-road vehicle, it works really well.
Oh yeah.
And even though it has a live rear axle back there, look at us just bounding through this. It's not bad.
No, and it really has a surprisingly compliant ride. Even though we are, getting jostled, but there's no crashing or banging.
It's smooth.
Yeah,
we're on some pretty rough terrain, really.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is really
Here we go up the sand hill. This reminds me of those 1950s, like shake the weight off things, those belts that would shake your hips and you lose weight that way.
Yeah, you can advertise it
exactly
as this.
But as you can see when we get here into the dunes, it just doesn't have the horsepower to compete. Like it's just...
Who dug all those trenches in here anyway?
I don't know. If I find that guy.
Wow.
But you see, it just doesn't have the same I'm to the floor.
Oh.
It just can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
But the thing is, we're covering the same ground.
We're going the same place. That's the thing, right? You're not going to be laying giant rooster tails in this of devastation and.
But that's just juvenile foolishness anyway.
Exactly.
And something we do not partake in.
That is something that you have to accept in a 4Runner, is that you're not getting a ton of horsepower. That's not what this thing does. It's actually not bad. 4-liter V6.
Oh yeah, it's got lots of torque. Right?
270 horsepower, 278 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
So those are fine numbers.
I mean, that's enough to crawl over any kind of rock and hill climb you need.
Exactly. It's not just the speedy option. If you like the Raptor TRX flavor of off-roading, this is not that.
No.
This is something very different. But I'll show you what it does really well up here on this little V-notch we've got here. But I'll show you something. I'm going to get it stuck on purpose, Peter.
Quite a good size boulder up there, too, isn't it?
It sure is. So here we are. Let me put it in my Sam. Oh, doesn't have them. That's right. We just have low.
Oh.
Well, actually, that's not true. We do have rut mode and these things. They're not the same. Here we go on and turn it on to, I guess that's ruts.
Let's try ruts.
Let's try it out, rut mode.
Let's try some rutting.
But I like the part about the 4Runner is that you're involved
absolutely.
in the experience. It doesn't feel like it's doing it for me. So let's see if we get stuck here, because I don't have the rear diff locked. Yep.
There we go.
See?
Yep.
Now we can lock our diff, and it might be enough for it to just walk right out of here. Let's see. Yep, there we go. But you have to do it. You have to lock and unlock the diff as you see fit, and the modes won't necessarily save you. And that's just a different
big deal.
type of off-roading, right? For some people, that's a disadvantage. They have to do it themselves.
Right.
Some people might see that as something they like doing.
And the advantage of this vehicle is it's a tidier size. It's narrower, it's lighter, it just feels more light in its feet. And as you say, you're more connected to the experience.
Yeah, I mean, this has about a 9-inch shorter wheelbase than the Land Rover.
Right.
And that doesn't seem like a lot, but on the trails, you do feel it, you do notice it. And it makes this one feel just a little more agile, a little more nimble, able to place it more places. But like, I would say the difference is that like the Land Rover is an adrenaline off-roader. It's like full on V8, big power, versus this is not for that. This is like a tractor. Like, you want to go over there? Okay, it will take you. Yeah. It's just not gonna be like a flying rooster tail of V8 Fury. It's just gonna, you're gonna go there. Just kind of calmly going wherever you choose to go. Yeah. So now we're on these trails. I'm gonna put it into neutral, and I gotta run the gauntlet of shifting this thing into 4 high. Neutral. Oop, there we go, that's high 4. There we go. And now I'm in 4 high. Okay. And it's surprisingly calm. And this is what I think this thing does surprisingly well, because this has Fox off-road shocks.
Wow.
So you can really just kind of fly through these dirt roads. And are you comfortable?
I am. It's surprisingly smooth how it just swallows up these undulations.
It's smooth and it's comfy.
Yeah, it's quiet, there's no banging, no crashing.
I will say that the TRD has this performance exhaust on it, and I mean this the nicest way possible. I've never wanted to hear an engine less than this one. I mean, this is just a big old trucky V6. Yeah. It's not bad on the highway, but it's kind of loud. Maybe I'm just getting older.
Well, conversely, the Defender sounds fantastic. That 5-liter V8 just bellowing away there.
I know, that's an engine you want to hear.
Yeah.
Are you feeling the weight coming off of you, Peter?
Oh, God, yes.
Gotta lose some pounds on this trip.
Yeah. Hopefully not my lunch.
But we're on these rutty tracks, and one of the things I also like about the old school Toyota is that all the important mechanical bits, the transmission, the transfer case, the fuel tank, they're tucked up under those big old school frame rails, because this is a body on frame SUV. So if we were to hang up on some of these ruts, it wouldn't be anything important we'd be catching. It'd be the big frame, which is designed to drag on the ground if you have to. Oh, that's gonna be tough. Okay, windows down for this one.
I don't think we want to take the Defender through this. That could be a...
we're through.
Yeah, but look where we're
oh no, no we're not.
You have to back up.
Oh dear. This allows me to show off one other feature the 4Runner has.
Yes, what's that?
Which is the rear window rolls down.
Oh.
Which is gonna help me back up through these tight trees I just got through.
You're literally out of the woods now.
All right, here, let me find, oh, what was that?
Stick.
Would you like to go back to civilization now?
Yes. I'll go around. Hang on.
Look at him run.
Jesus.
Welcome aboard.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing. This 4Runner will do everything that a reasonable off-roader wants to do with trails, except pass on this narrow spot with our friend Elle. We're not going to tell her about the disaster they're headed to. We'll figure that out. So I like a lot of the features the TRD Pro package has. At $15,000,
what?
It is rather expensive, but I think you get a lot. So you
is
get
that what gives you the actual off-road prowess of this vehicle?
Really, yes. It comes with a lot of features. Not all are related to going off-roading strictly, like these sweet TRD logo seats. But some of the big ticket items are a big aluminum skid plate up front. That's really important. That protects the front diff, protects the engine from rocks and all the other things you'll be driving over. It also includes that electronic locking diff, rear differential that we've been using again and again.
Invaluable today.
You want that. And you also get big rock rails on the side, on the sides of the vehicle. And you get that big basket style roof rack, so you can put tents and jerry cans and all kinds of stuff up there. So it turns it into a real, like, multi-day off-roading rig, which I think is pretty cool. You don't get any extra horsepower, and you kind of barely get an exterior look. It kind of looks the same as any other 4Runner. But I think it's time to try the Land Rover on these same relaxed trails and talk about some of its features. So what do you say we hop into the finer side?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Peter, so now we are ensconced in the lap of luxury. Tell us about what we're in.
This is a 2024 Land Rover Defender 110 P500, which means it has a supercharged 5-liter V8 under the hood. It makes 493 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. And it makes a really good sound, too.
Show me.
Okay, are you ready? It sounds better outside, but you know, that's the sound of luxury.
It is. That's what you get for all that money.
Yeah, we're paying for this, right?
But we're going to find out how it does on these trails. So why don't you send us down these whoops section?
Okay, so we're going to put the...
oh yeah, these different modes.
Oh yeah, different modes. This is a whoop-de-doo section, so we should probably do... sand? No, mud and ruts.
I like that.
Okay, we're doing mud and ruts. And we're raised to the highest height with our air suspension.
So away we go.
So away we go. And the thing about this vehicle is that there's so much technology going on that it just basically takes care of everything.
It's so smooth.
It's so smooth. And here we are going over the moguls. Whoop-de-doo. Woohoo! I'm feeling just fine.
So if you cut over this way, maybe you can show how the hill descent works on this downhill section.
Okay, hill descent is on. So basically I just take my foot off the accelerator, the gas, and the vehicle just does everything on its own. It holds a nice steady speed. We could set that for a slower speed, and we probably should have. But nonetheless, as you can see, it's just sort of like chugging it off like it was nothing.
I see that.
All right.
Now if we take it over to the dunes, show me what this thing can do that the Toyota cannot.
All right, well, let's put this in sand mode, because that gives us a little more wheel spin.
Okay.
And wheel spin is what you want when you have a very powerful V8 SUV. And you want to do things like a donut.
I wouldn't do it here.
No. We'll go over to the...
over to our Sandy Hollow. But I gotta say, even over these like big bumps, the ride's really smooth.
The ride's really smooth.
On off-road terrain.
But I also have to say that I think the Toyota actually has a little smoother ride.
It's got more sidewall.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But this vehicle is incredibly capable.
Look at these tracks. Somebody's been making mischief over here, Peter.
That wouldn't have been us, would it?
I can't imagine.
Anyway, let's see what happens when we put the foot to the floor. Oh my gosh. We are picking up plumes of sand and stuff. Okay, let's go up the side of this. Sand down here. Whoa! Oh my goodness.
We are surfing.
Now, this is something you couldn't do
with the Toyota.
Yeah, or the 4-cylinder.
It's got so much power.
Yeah, it really has so much torque. Even the 6-cylinder version of this vehicle wouldn't do that. No way.
Sand stuff is pretty fun.
It is. It's kind of like being on snow.
It kind of is.
But it's dry. But, I mean, the crazy thing about this vehicle is that it's a bona fide luxury vehicle.
That's true. The inside is amazing.
It's a beautiful design. It's sort of, you know, it's rugged chic is what it is. And you have a fantastic sound system and ventilated seats and, well, everything you can expect in a vehicle that costs.
This is like the glamping of off-roading.
It is the glamping of off-roading. And it's really zero effort because this vehicle does everything for you.
Hey, look at you on all your modes.
Oh, yeah,
Do you find that adds to the experience, or do you wish it was a little simpler?
Well, I gotta say, I like the simplicity of that Toyota because it just kind of mud plugs wherever you go, and it may not be ultimately as capable.
Yeah, it's just a little simpler.
It's simpler, it's smaller, it's lighter, and it just feels, I don't know, I would say it feels more fun, although you can't do donuts.
That's true.
And donuts are the most fun you can have.
Like to a technical climb like this, it kind of just walks through it.
It just walks through it. And I remember you had some difficulty with the Toyota.
I had to lock my diff. I had to take a second run on it.
You had to lock your diff.
I know, the barbarity of it all. And you just went right through it.
That is so sad.
I will say, though, that there's something to be said for this, which is a physically larger vehicle than the Toyota.
Yeah.
It's longer wheelbase by about 9 inches or something.
Yeah, and it's way heavier.
Way heavier, way more power.
Yeah.
But as a consummate off-roading experience,
it's serious.
It does everything.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bona fide, serious off-road. And it also has rock crawl mode.
That's true.
It'll wade up to almost a meter in water depth. You can adjust the speed of the hill descent, and we probably should have done that on the other one.
So your foot's not on the brake?
I'm just not touching anything other than the steering wheel. And it's maintaining a real crawl speed down this hill.
Well, Peter, now we're on some more sedate trails.
Yes.
We call this a track some people would take to the cottage.
Mm-hmm. And I must say I'm feeling extremely comfortable in here. These seats are fantastic. And of course they're ventilated, heated. We have a fantastic Meridian sound system if we want.
We have all the luxury features, but one of the things I really like about this interior is just the way it melds luxury with a utilitarian aspect.
Yeah.
Like you have painted steel.
Yeah.
And exposed fasteners.
I know, it's fantastic.
But you also have a nice touchscreen, you have USB-C charging. Mm-hmm. Like this interior is really, really nice in terms of mixing the rugged with the luxurious.
Right. And the build quality is exceptional, of course. Every surface is beautiful. All the leathers and stitching.
It doesn't help you go off-road any better than the Toyota.
No.
So in terms of off-roading stuff, you know, it doesn't really help, and this is twice the price, so of course it has a nicer interior, but still worth commending Land Rover for making a really, really nice off-road interior. In fact, the bottom, like 1 foot of this interior is all rubber. So hypothetically, if you got really muddy, you could just hose it out and keep going.
Right, yeah.
And I think even though this is an off-road comparison, we at least have to mention that, yes, this one is head and shoulders above the Toyota on the highway. It's way more comfortable, you have way more passing power, better stereo, all that stuff. But guess what? It doesn't matter here.
This is the great equalizer out
Exactly,
here.
the dirt.
The dirt and the muck and the water.
But I gotta say, on these kind of roads, it's actually just kind of about the same in terms of smoothness. And I might even give the edge to the Toyota.
I'm with you on that.
bit.
I think the Toyota actually has a slightly smoother ride on these particular undulating, bumpy gravel roads.
I think part of that is that this is on 20-inch wheels and the Toyota is on 17s. And yes, both tires are actually the same height within half an inch.
Right.
This is on 32s. The 4Runner is on 31.5-inch tall tires, if you would like to measure it that way. And yes, both are actually on like real off-road tires too, which is actually cool of Land Rover to not put pavement tires on this one. Because these are actual chunky off-road tires.
We would not have had nearly as much fun if we had the pavement tires on this thing.
No, but your
Our
sound
rooster tails wouldn't have been nearly as high.
Exactly. But our sound insulation is better.
Yeah.
It's a nicer place to sit. Kind of predictable, but you got to talk about it still. Now it's time for us to pick a winner. We've gone on the sand.
This
We've
is
gone
going
on
to
the
be
rocks.
hard, Clayton.
We've gone on the mud.
And this is all about off-roading. The
All
winner
about
is based on how
off-roading.
well it does out here.
Doesn't matter about the value. Doesn't
No.
matter about the highway performance. Doesn't matter about the fuel economy. Which of these is the better trail bashing buster?
Tough call.
Well, someone's got to do it. So why don't we pull in here and make a decision?
So, Clayton, look what we did to these. We got them all dirty.
How did this happen?
I don't know.
They were clean a minute ago.
But we are here for off-roading, and that's what we did.
So we had a full day of sand, mud, some rocks, and off-road fun. And I think we really did put these to the test as much as any normal and prudent person would do so.
How many times did you have to activate the rear locking diff on that?
I would say like probably about 3 or 4 times in which activating the rear locking diff got me unstuck. But do all these tech aids that the Land Rover have enhance the off-roading experience? Does the 4Runner being so old and outdated, does it hinder it on the trails? And which of these is the better off-roader? Let's start with the tech in the Defender.
Okay, this thing is so easy to drive off-road. There's so much going on. You just set it and forget it. It'll just about go anywhere. It's not terribly involving, but it's very impressive, the fact that this luxury vehicle can do what it did. Now that, I would say, is more analog and more involving, and you're more part of the process, would you say?
I would say it can be a bit more of a satisfying process in the 4Runner. I would say that the tech features help off-road, especially if you're a novice and you're not sure. It's a great way to make the outdoors more accessible because you don't have to know how to rock crawl. You have crawl control. You don't have to know how to have a spotter because you have all those cameras showing you what's underneath your car. So it does make it a lot more accessible. And that is actually pretty cool. So we're gonna call that a win for the Defender?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 point for the Defender. And the second question, this thing is a fossil. We know and we love it, but it is an old school, outdated vehicle. Is that a hindrance on the trail? The verdict for that one is?
No.
No, it doesn't matter.
I found myself very comfortable in that vehicle. I knew exactly what it was doing at all times. It seemed to just go wherever I wanted. And it's also a kind of a tidy size, you know, you feel, you know where the perimeter is.
It's easy to place.
Yeah, easy to place.
So yeah, the fact that it's old and outdated and drinks gas, it affects it on the highway, it affects it in the city, and it affects it in the interior layout of the buttons and such, but on the trails, it doesn't hurt it at all. It doesn't matter. It's just great off-road. And now it's the biggie, Peter.
Yeah, what's the biggie?
Which of these two is the better off-roader? Take the money out of the equation, take the highway comfort out of the equation when it comes to the dirt. When the rubber meets the dirt, which one is better on the trails?
Okay, if you're going for the experience of off-roading, the elemental, analog, get down dirty feeling of off-roading, I have to say the Dinosaur.
I would actually agree that this feels more fun to off-road because you're really involved in the process. This is great off-road. In fact, I have to say in terms of ultimate capabilities between these two, it's really close to a draw. This one has a bit wider tires, a bit shorter wheelbase. That's an advantage off-road. This one has a bit more ground clearance, I think, because it's taller with the air suspension. It all kind of evens out. I don't think you could conclusively say one of these is better off-road than the other. It is worth noting that both the Ford Bronco and the Jeep Wrangler, when properly equipped, are both head and shoulders above these off-road. If you want the ultimate in off-road capability, those two models will be better than these. But these are real vehicles versus the Bronco and the Wrangler. Those are like full-on off-roaders. So for the sake of this comparison, we've got a tech-heavy one that does it all, and we've got old school that does it the old-fashioned way. And we have a $70,000 price gulf between the two.
Ouch.
So what can we call the winner?
You know what? If we're talking about pure off-roading experience, I believe we have to go with a Toyota. It's hard to say that because this is an exceptional off-roading vehicle.
I would actually have to agree with Peter that when it comes to off-road only, I give the nod to the Toyota. I like the live rear axle. I like the more involved feeling. I like it just feels sturdy on the trails. It feels like I could really take it anywhere. And Peter, I think it's worth noting that the Land Rover is just as good as the 4Runner off-road, and it gives up nothing in terms of on-road comfort to do it, which is actually pretty amazing. You have to give credit to it as a product.
The bandwidth of this vehicle is massive.
Exactly. We were talking about, can you live with the 4Runner? Because it's a bit of a task to live with it every day. You don't have to live with the Defender. It's just a nice car all the time.
Absolutely.
But I still have to say, for the purposes of an off-road test, we have to say that the 4Runner is the winner. It does have that slight edge off-road, and we enjoyed driving it off-road a little bit better. And at the end of the day, it's not competition. We're trying to have fun.
And that's why it's the winner of this comparison test.
For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams.
And I'm Peter Blakeney, and I'm glad I'm driving home in the Land Rover.
And for a full written review of this comparison, don't forget to check out our website at Driving.ca.